Howdy, folks. I was working my way through the finishing process on a 1941 Singer 201-2 that I'm repainting, and I thought I had a good opportunity to show something off here to folks. The machine has been painted. Obviously, it's been painted. I've got it most of the way back together, and sometimes I'll save this last the sanding and water sanding and polishing process for one of the last things before I put the motor on. And I was halfway through this and saw a good opportunity to share this process with you folks. In my film restoring the red 201-2 for Kendall, I'd mentioned about water sanding and polishing it out, and this is basically the process. I've sanded this machine down. I've sanded the bed down, and actually this side has been finished. This side is mostly finished, I should say. The process goes like this. I'll start with a piece of 1500 grit sanding paper, 1000 or 1500 grit. This happens to be 1500 grit water sanding paper. I've got my soapy water here. It doesn't have any bubbles on it right now, but it is a little soap in there. I do make the water a little bit deep in the pan so that any particles that may fall off, it may get on the paper and fall off into the water, aren't picked back up. They sink to the bottom. I just dip the paper just onto the top, just to wet it slightly. When I'm sanding the machine, I will go in a back and forth motion. I don't sand in circles. You can see the basically the scratch marks into the finish, and I only sand it down until all the imperfections are out of the finish. You got a little thing up in the corner up there, right here, but that really isn't an imperfection so much as it might be a little bit of a ridge. I may work on that to try and just smooth it back out so I have a perfectly flat surface. You want to be careful when you're using water sanding paper, even with your hands, especially with your hands. You want to use very, very light pressure, and I'm just talking about laying your hand down and just moving it back and forth slowly. It's no big, you don't have to go very fast. Sometimes I'll double the paper over, as that edge will allow me to allow the paper to stay stiff, a little stiffer on this edge. Your fingers, you don't want to go back and forth in the very same spot over and over and over again, because the pads of your fingers aren't level, and you will actually wear spots. You'll actually wear it deeper here, here, and here, and leave a shallower area there. So when you move, you want to go back and forth, and then move in a little bit, and move like this. Okay. I'll just take a paper towel, a dry paper towel. I use Bounty paper towels, and I'll sand it for a little while because it's hard to see your progress, and then take a paper towel and just wipe over the area, and you'll be able to see your imperfections, or if you're already through with the imperfection, any kind of little nits that were in the paint, you'll see them disappear. They turn into almost like little craters, and then they'll just slowly disappear. After that, once we've gotten it to this point here, and it's nice and smooth, now we need to polish it back out. And what I'll use, I've got cotton rounds right here, just regular old, they're for makeup. My wife, I asked her for cotton balls one day, she gave me cotton rounds, and I fell in love with them. They're inexpensive. You can get them like BJ's for sleeves like this. That one sleeve will do easily this whole machine, if not more. I'll start with a polishing compound. I like I've used paste before, but I like the liquid. It goes on a little bit easier. Goes right on the cotton round, and then I'll start working that. Start working the surface. You work a very small surface. I may work in the area this big. That's it. Working that small surface and going very, very fast. And I can't really demonstrate it because it makes the camera shake like crazy. But you move really, moving really fast, and not with a tremendous amount of pressure. You just want to use a light pressure on it, and you polish it until you bring your polishing compound. What you're doing is obviously you're getting it wet, and that gets the cotton round wet. Well, as you keep polishing it, it's drying and slowly drying. As it gets towards the end of that drying process, you'll actually see the polishing compound start to work more and more and more, and the sheen will start coming back up. It may take several times. It may take several cotton rounds to get an area like this shining like this. This is all done. About 95% done, actually. And as we go down the side of this bed, I'm going to try and pick this up. You can start to see where the scratches start to come in. You can see a little haze right there. That's where I'm not quite done in that area, and it gets a little... Sorry about the reflections. You can see those hazes there, but as I come back down the machine, look, as it disappears. This area right here, I went ahead and finished this up. I used the polishing compound, got it almost to this point right here. Then I move on to TR3, the resin glaze. We've all seen that in many of the discussions groups. I love this stuff. I love it. It's great. It works really well for polishing out the final polishing process. But even so, I love the carnauba wax. When I'm done with the TR3, and I actually use it more as a polish than a glaze. It does leave a glaze on it. Kind of hard to describe. It does leave a bit of a glaze on it, but before it dries, I'll wipe it off with just a regular like a terry cloth towel. Then my last step is carnauba wax. Just a regular carnauba wax with no cleaners in it. I use Meguiar's here. I've used other kinds before, but a good quality carnauba wax. Meguiar's is a good quality wax. So you got a three-step process. You're going from your polishing compound to the TR3 resin glaze and the carnauba wax, all applied with the cotton rounds and removed with a terry cloth towel. And this is your result. I mean, I hate that light like that. I'm trying to get a good reflection there. You can see the reflection of the faceplate. Oh, nice, right into the light. You can see the reflection of the faceplate there. And the camera's losing focus, I'm sorry. And like I said, going down the bed. So tonight I'm going to keep working across this bed and polish this out. Come on, focus for me. And hopefully by this evening I should have this one done. The arm did not need any polish. I think there's a couple of little pieces of trash that might have gotten into it that I'll have to work on. But you can even spot an area that might have a little piece of trash in it or something. I can't see anything, but if it were right here, I could actually sand that out and then polish it back to match the surrounding area, even with it using the same process. I mean, you just go until you've got it matched, and it will. You can remove imperfections in your paint job like that. But in the bed, it being a flat area, it tends to pick that junk up. Stuff's going to land in it when it's wet, and then it's got to be taken care of, or it just looks like heck. So anyway, I hope I covered everything, and enjoy.